Well, hello everyone, TechC88 here and welcome to another review. And now we're taking a look at Line of Fire for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. Published by US Gold and developed by Creative Materials and released for that particular platform in 1990. The cassette price was £10.99 and the disc price was £15.99. The other platforms it came out for were the Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Sega Master System, Atari ST and Commodore Amiga. Now, it's based on Sega's arcade game of the same name, and it tries to take a similar approach to Operation Thunderbolt, in which you and an optional friend can actually go into action against enemies. But one major difference in this is that unlike in Operation Thunderbolt, where you had limited ammunition even for your gun, the guns have unlimited ammunition in this. So there's not really much more to say about that. It's an 8-level game, and you just basically shoot anything that moves. And that having been said, I'll just wait for this. This could have done with being a bit faster, if the truth be told, but. This presentation's not too bad. Press fire to play. So the keys are QAOPM for the usual up, down, left, right, and fire, and space allows either player to fire a bomb. So a bit like Operation Thunderbolt, the action's going into the screen in this bit. Although unlike the Spectrum port of Operation Thunderbolt, the way it's been done isn't particularly smooth. Yeah, so, and you don't even have to worry about running out of ammo. It doesn't really matter about not firing wildly, which to me seems like a strange approach to take in a game like this. It may have been to avoid legal troubles with the makers of Operation Wolf and Operation Thunderbolt. But who knows? But one thing that I've noticed already is that the hit detection isn't great. And you may have seen some boxes on the ground that appear somewhere. I just shot one. The ones with the crosses on them are first aid and replenish your life, with your life meters in the top left corner. And if you had a second player, his or hers would be their life meter in the top right corner. So I clearly shot that. See what I mean about the hit detection? It's not great. See, these are health boxes, so replenish some of the lost health I just. Another problem I'm having is that the crosshair moves a little bit too slowly for my liking. This looks like the boss. There's one of the bombs. The number of bombs that you collectively have is at the bottom of the screen there. It's not a separate grenade set for each player the way it is in Operation Thunderbolt. So both players, that's the pot for both players. So one of these guys is dead. Just got to finish off this guy. Oh, sorry, it's very easy to accidentally knock the enter screen in this. No death animation, and even when I killed the first of those two, the menu just disappeared, which and then you get this burst of music while this screen's on. The problem is you have to wait for the music to finish. You can't skip this. You can hit the fire button till you're blue in the face. It won't do anything. You just got to wait for the music to finish playing. Alright, so that's the next level loaded. I'm deliberately cutting out the loading bits to save the length of the review. And this time we got something that you don't see in Operation Thunderbolt. You're actually scrolling out of the screen. But again, unlike Operation Thunderbolt, things are really quite choppy and jerky in this. This crosshair moves too slowly. Yeah, and I'm presuming that that bit there where it's sort of wobbled from side to side is supposedly trying to give an impression of going around a bend, but it's not particularly convincing. In fact, it wouldn't surprise if people didn't feel quite sick just watching that. Ah, good. I can build up my bombs. See, look, I clearly shot. See, look how unconvincing that was. See, I shot that second box and it wouldn't disappear. See what I mean? The hit detection is really is really quite questionable. Yeah, not a great frame rate, is it? Oh, now there's nothing scrolling into our screen. The pace is picked up. Of course. The thing is, you don't really feel a great sense of urgency to the same extent that you do in Operation Thunderbolt, because you can't run out of gun ammo. No, I've got to wait for this bloody music to finish again. Destroy the enemy jungle base. It says at the bottom screen there. Did I even do that? It looked just like I was taking a leisurely boat trip on, well, something along those lines anyway. So that's the next level loaded, so press fire. See that I clearly shot that first aid box. So now we're going back into the screen again. I'll try and get that box. Yeah, good. But now I had a quick look at footage of the arcade version prior to recording this review, and in that it looks as if there were enemies on top of those gantries where those boxes are. And then those enemies are nowhere to be seen here. Again, wobbling from side to side in a rather unconvincing manner. Yeah, I want that. I think I just managed to get that. It would have been nice if it could have done something a bit more substantial to let you know you'd actually picked it up, rather than just disappear. You sort of, and notice how at the bottom you've got shorthand. I've got 2 lots of 5 bombs to show up. So I've got 10 bombs, and as I said earlier, both players would be have access to that same stash of bombs. It's not a case of one set of bombs for one player and one for the other. And another thing that I forgot to mention until now that separates this from Operation Thunderbolt is you actually get lives in this. Where in that, if your energy life bar whatever depleted, it was instantly game over until you put more money in. You'd think it'd be a bit smoother now that everything stops scrolling into the screen, but no. I mean, I know Spectrum wasn't built with games in mind originally, but this is kind of action that it should have done in its sleep, and it's still as jerky as if it was still scrolling into the screen the way it was a few moments ago. Yeah. I mean, so far I wouldn't say this game was awful, but it's nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near as good as the Ocean published port of Operation Thunderbolt. And as ever, I've got to wait for this damn music to finish before I can get the next bit loaded in. Yeah, this is a multi-load game, in case you hadn't guessed. And even though this is the 48K version, don't think you're going to be spared that with the 128K version, because according to what I've read, you won't. Yes, you heard that correctly. Even on 128K, you'll still have multi-load to do. So here we are. Sorry, I accidentally pressed the enter key again. It's surprisingly easy to do that in this game for some reason. Look at that! Look at the way that helicopter's jumping about like that. I don't understand why that's happening in this level when it was nowhere near as bad on the previous levels that had helicopters in them. Oh goodness! Look at how I'm going to hit it when it's just jolting about the screen like that. Yeah, and I'm about to lose a life. Oh, I just managed to get that. Yeah, I can't help feeling that in this conversion they should have been a bit more sparing with the scenery. That might have helped keep the frame rate up a bit. I mean, Operation Thunderbolt took that kind of approach, and it worked a lot better. Oh God, I didn't manage to get any of those bombs. Again, this is the problem when the crosshair moves so slowly. Come on, let me have some, thank you. Oh, goodness me. The sound was probably about as good as much as you could really expect for a 48K Spectrum. I clearly hit these guys. It's so hard to hit everything when everything's so jerky like this. I've lost half my energy again. Please give me some. And of course now there's no more side decoration into the screen scrolling. The pace has picked up a bit. Well, the pace has picked up a lot actually. You know, I'm going to lose a life in a moment, aren't I? My life bar is nearly depleted. Yeah, I've lost a life now. Blimey, a hit ratio 100%. So I've been fighting in the canyon. Well, at least I was fighting in the canyon. So that's something. And what do you know, I've got to wait for this music to finish again. Right. So as you can see, we are now on stage 5, and I believe this is the only level that's horizontally scrolling, judging by the footage I saw of the arcade version. But one thing that is a mystery to me is why everything's still incredibly jerky. I mean, even though Sir Clive Sinclair never intended the Spectrum to be a games machine, again, in most cases, the horizontal and vertical and even diagonal scrolling was something it could pretty much do in its sleep. So I don't understand why it's so jerky in this. I mean, it's not like having to... And you just see these sparks of people shooting at you, and even when you're clearly shooting where they're shooting, it seems to be a real chore to actually get your bullets to hit the enemies in question. So you clearly hit that guy. Oh God. The way everything's drawn is not particularly well defined. It's a bit of a graphical mess, really. I mean, and not just because it's monochrome. I mean, Operation Thunderbolt's main game area is monochrome as well, and everything's very clearly defined. So there's seldom, if ever, any mistake as to what's actually happening on screen, which is definitely not the case with this. I got myself some more bombs just then. Come on, I'm clearly hitting that guy. I'm going to lose another life in a moment. Oh, die, will you? I clearly hit you. Oh, see, I hit that guy. Die! See what I mean? The hit detection's just all over the place. It's probably the jerkiness of the whole shebang that's just making it very hard to tell where exactly you need to aim. Or maybe it's just a bit of rubbishy programming. Not so good with the hit rate there. And what's really strange is that I'm already over halfway through the game, and today is the first time I've ever played this. Come on. So now let's start the next mission. So we're back indoors again, and because there's so few frames of animation for these guys, they just seem to suddenly appear out of nowhere when they're halfway down the corridor. See, look at that. And I'm going to die again in a moment. My life bar's really got a tiny sliver of energy. See, look, they just come out of nowhere. I've lost a life. Now, it's worth pointing out that one level is actually missing from this version and the CPC version. There's in the original arcade version, is a level that's set in some kind of a train yard, and that didn't make it. Into this version or the CPC version. You'll only find in the home ports that I mentioned earlier, save for the MSX version, sorry, the Master System version, which are in terms of home computer ports, that aforementioned train section made it into the Commodore 64, Atari ST and Amiga versions, but unfortunately it's been excised from this version and the Amstrad CPC version. God, I thought I wasn't going to go for A for a moment. Well, I like the way it said that I was supposedly got to evade the enemy in the tunnel, except you can't evade them because you don't actually get that kind of control. You're heading towards the enemy whether you like it or not. And that bit with the swinging chains is possibly among the smoothest bits I've seen in this. So now we'll get mission 7 going. Cool, this is a bit sparse. So this is actually a runway. If the arcade version, the footage that I looked at before recording this is anything to go by. The takeoff animation there isn't done quite the way it is in the arcade, but at least it's sort of there. Oh, now this is that bit where you're passing above the clouds. They've even left that in this version. That's a surprise. Oh God. Why is it when you shoot the missiles, they don't explode, they just disappear? Oh, I'm dead. So that was line of fire for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. It's not that great, really. Graphics, bit of a mixture between being okay and being a rather confusing mess. And the way that everything moves is generally not particularly slick, except when there's virtually nothing except when there's virtually no scenery detail, as you've seen in some of those bosses earlier. Sound, well, it's not deathly silent, which is welcoming, especially on 48K. So you get the guns, explosion sounds, and these bursts of music between levels, but that's about it. Gameplay, yes, it's not particularly fun to play. It's not a total disaster, but neither is it particularly awe-inspiring. I mean, as I said, the hit detection is very questionable, and it seems to be a real chore just to hit things, even when it looks like you've got the crosshairs centered dead absolutely correctly. I mean, as you saw, I was even struggling to hit first aid boxes and bomb boxes that were in the foreground because the hit detection was that hit and miss, so to speak. But one thing that is worrying is I got this far, and today is the first time I've ever played this version. I mean, had I bought this on cassette, it would have cost me £10.99, and to have paid that much for a full price game, and I'm very close to the end of it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. And the fact that you don't have to worry about running out of gun ammo, only bomb ammo, also takes away a sense of urgency that was witnessed in Operation Thunderbolt. Put simply, if you've got the Spectrum version of Operation Thunderbolt, even if it's the 48K version, you would be better off just sticking with that, because even that 48K version is way more fun to play than this. So I'm going to give line of fire for the ZX Spectrum 6 out of 10. There's just not really, it just doesn't have the fun factor of the Spectrum version of Operation Thunderbolt. and everything's so choppy and jerky and with questionable hit detection. And the fact that the challenge seems to be a bit lacking, as evidenced by the fact I got as far as this, and I'd never played this version before today. And I didn't see by the fact it says game over, I didn't use a cheat mode or anything like that. So yeah, not really a rush out and buy game. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.